connect where we all begin. Laughter, lessons, journeys unfold. The VM network, let the stories be told. VM network, it's your time to tune in. Stories that connect where we all begin. Laughter, lessons, journeys unfold. The VM network, let the stories be told. The VM network, let the stories be told.
Good morning. Thank you so much for tuning in once again. You are tuned in to Voices of the Art, and I'm your host for this morning, Andile Dube Matube _Mbuyas on all social media platforms. We are currently broadcasting live on Facebook as well as YouTube. So please don't forget to show us some love on those various social media platforms. This morning, I am so excited to introduce our guest who goes by the name of Kat Newood. You know what I would describe her as? I would describe her as a quadruple threat, a singer, songwriter, producer, as well as a sound engineer who's worked with one of South Africa's biggest record labels. So we're definitely going to get some valuable insight from behind the scenes. And now she wants to be a star in front of the camera. So we're going to speak about some of the challenges that she's been through working behind the scenes, so on and so forth. So I'm definitely excited for that. Tune in if you're someone who is interested in producing, songwriting, who's currently maybe studying sound engineer. She's definitely a valuable voice within the music industry. But for now, here is Kat Newood with Water. That was Kat Newood with who is our guest for this morning. If you just tuned in now, this is Voices of the Art exclusively on Voice on the Move Network. Please feel free to send us some love, or show us rather some love on our various social media platforms. If you have any questions for our guest this morning, especially because, like I mentioned, she has very valuable insight in terms of songwriting, producing, sound engineering, now diving into the front line, into being an artist, pursuing rather a music career. So do show us some love on the comment section, and please don't forget to comment and subscribe. Click on the notification bell to get a notification each and every single time we go live. Good morning, Kat.
Morning, how are you doing?
Well, thank you. And yourself?
I'm good, thank you.
Oh, I absolutely love that song. In my head, while listening to it, I saw myself driving down the Durban promenade with the sunroof down, my hands in the air, definitely enjoying Durban, a sea breeze. When writing that particular song, what was on your mind?
So that was the first song that I ever released or distributed through Spotify and iTunes. And I really love that song because I did everything on that track. Like I produced everything, I mixed everything, I wrote everything. So for the general population, it might not sound like the best track, but for me, I'm the most proud of that song because it's the only song that I've released that I've done everything myself. And when writing that track, I was on holiday going to the ocean, really excited for my December. And yeah, I just tried to capture that feeling in a song as best as I could. Obviously, back then, my production skills weren't as good, but I was definitely experimenting with a lot of synthesizers and arpeggiators and a lot of cool, like, sound effects. Yeah, that's basically it.
We're definitely going to go into your skills in terms of producing as well as the sound engineering, so on and so forth. But for now, for those who might not know you, who is Kat Newood? Please share with us your musical journey from beginning as a sound engineer, going into songwriting, producing, as well as now a singer, as we can see with that beautiful track.
So it all started with my studies. So I was like, what do I want to do? So I was the only student. I studied at Rhodes University. I was the only student with my subject combination. And I ended up getting a degree in journalism, in opera singing, and sound technology. So after school, naturally, I was like, what do you do with these random skills? And I became a singing waiter after uni because that's like the only gig that I felt comfortable doing. And then I got a job at Universal Music Publishing because at that time there wasn't a lot of opportunities for female sound engineers. So I was just looking to get into a studio in some sort of way. So I applied to everything that has a studio and I got the job at Universal Music Publishing. And for those who don't know, there's a difference between a record label and a music publisher. The music publisher are for the songwriters. So that's really where my songwriting knowledge got solidified. And I saw some of Africa's best songwriters coming into the office and writing tracks. And that's really where I started learning about the value of being a songwriter in South Africa. And then obviously my sound engineering skills helped at the same time because I could then help keep the studio neat and help songwriters if they needed some technical assistance with recording, stuff like that. So I was just really learning a lot while I was at publishing.
Thank you so much for sharing the difference with us, because most of us would think that this is one and the same, but it's very different parts of Universal. Tell us some of the tools that you picked up when working with Universal, especially because you have quite an extensive experience in working with them. And was it valuable is in terms of putting together music? Would you advise someone to go into furthering their knowledge in songwriting, or what you can be as good as I am with just writing how you feel or what you feel or taking in your environment?
Yeah, so that's it's a bit difficult to simplify. At Universal Music, the tools that I was taught is not something that's being taught at university, unfortunately, because I don't think that people who work for a record label or a music publisher necessarily go into teaching afterwards. So there's really like a big gap in the knowledge market, especially in South Africa's music industry. And the most valuable thing that I learned at Universal Music is how the money flows with your different set of rights. So if you're a songwriter, your rights attached to the song is different to when you're a recording artist. So I was learning about all the different royalties and how they flow, how SAMRO comes into play. So if you're a songwriter, you can register with SAMRO, which is the South African Music Rights Organization. And then if your song plays on radio, then you'll get a songwriter royalty for the percentage of the song that you wrote. But then on the other side, if you're a recording artist, if you just did the recording and you did none of the songwriting, there's a different right attached to that, which is called your master rights. So working Universal, the most valuable thing that I learned was really like how the money flows, how the economy works in the music industry. And unfortunately, I don't think that is very common knowledge. And I think a lot of people gatekeep that. And it's unfortunate because a lot of musicians can make a lot of money with that if you just know what your rights are. So I would recommend there's an organization called Mpasa, and they will help you with your music rights. So MPASA. And there's a human actually sitting on the other side of that email, and you can ask them any questions. I've worked with them, they know a lot. And yeah, I really recommend that.
I see that you really do advocate for individuals working within the music industry knowing their rights. I see some of the valuable information that you share on your social media. I picked up some of the differences that you've also shared on your social media. Why do you think that particular information is gatekept? Gatekept, rather.
I actually don't think it's being gatekept on purpose. I just think because our industry is attached to our economy, and the first thing to go in an economy is the arts, unfortunately, because you can't eat art. You cut out all of the expenses that you don't really necessarily need. So the people in the music industry are so busy doing so many different things and different roles, they don't actually have the time to create information guidelines for students, for example. It's just that the people in the industry are too busy at the moment to even think about sharing that information. So I always suggest like going on ChatGPT and asking ChatGPT, yo, I'm a songwriter in South Africa. What rights do I have? How can I get money from my songs? And it really would give you a really good explanation because there's a lot of online material that explain these things.
Yeah, no, thank you so much for that. Something that could really help the next person trying to figure themselves out. As someone who has understood some of the most important rights or some of the most important knowledge that you need to know, especially being a songwriter or producer, what are some of the three tools or some of the three things that you think a producer or a songwriter should know?
Okay, so now that I am releasing my own music outside of a record label, I'm seeing what producers are struggling with and what singers and songwriters, especially, can level up on when they get into the studio. Because a lot of the time, the person who's the producer, they're really good with making beats, they're really good with producing a song, but they don't have a lot of knowledge about vocals. So, the first tool that I would suggest is teach yourself how to record yourself properly. So get yourself a microphone and get yourself some sort of software and teach yourself how to record a healthy wave, like a sound wave. Then, secondly, I would go a bit further and teach yourself how to produce at least your vocals. So that if you're in studio and you are, you're recording yourself and your voice is in your head, you know what to ask for. So I know that if my voice doesn't sound so nice, I just ask the producer, hey, can you put up the reverb a little bit more? Or, hey, can you maybe just turn down the delay completely or the pre-delay? So just learning technical things specifically for vocal production will already put you in another category and people will want to work with you a lot more. And then the third tool is, I would say, go and experiment with music production and songwriting and sound design. So you don't have to be the best producer, but a lot of the times what happens is that you record vocals and then you use that vocals as a sound effect. So I know that if we record my vocals and it's a healthy sound wave and I say, hey, let's sidechain compress my backing vocals to the main vocals and auto tune it hard, then I can have this really cool vocal effect that they've never really even heard of or experimented with, which also causes them to want to work with you again in the future, just because you're a little bit more than the average singer, I would say.
Yeah. Let's speak about how competitive it is for female songwriters and producers within the South African music industry and some of the challenges that you might have faced. I can only imagine that, especially in the way that the music industry is set up in South Africa, one is pinned against the other. Who is the best, so on and so forth.
So I wouldn't say there's a lot of competition necessarily. Like all of the musicians that I've worked with, and especially the most successful ones, are incredible people. So it's less about that and it's more about we don't have the time and the resources to work together as much as we should. And that's why it feels like there's a lot of competition. But I've seen so much good things happening in this music industry, especially in the past 5 years. There's been a lot of changes. When I started, there were like basically no female music producers around, and the ones who were there weren't very good. But with all of the female movements and universal music in the US have this whole She Is the Music movement, and there's a women in music organization. There's been a lot of education and a lot of upskilling in the past 5 years. So it was hard in the beginning, but now, especially with the internet, there's a lot of power in musicians' hands, especially female music producers. Especially in South Africa, if you're a female music producer or just a singer and you go to studio, it can be dangerous sometimes. That is something that we dealt with. But now, because there's a lot of bedroom studios and you can record from home and you can send your vocals just online, it's become a lot safer and a lot more convenient. The challenges that I used to face is becoming a lot better. So I'm very hopeful about our progress in music and how we're going to be evolving in the next 5 to 10 years. I'm really excited to see what's going to happen.
So you mentioned some organizations that are available for women in the music industry. So in 2023, you hosted a creative session from Womb Power Music Expo. Congratulations for that. It
Thank you.
shows how valuable you are and how valuable your voice is within the industry, which is something you should be very proud of, as well as that you can influence the way that someone approaches a certain things within the music industry safely, which is something to be commended. So, what insights did you gain in terms of that particular expo, especially because it recognizes women and celebrates them within the music industry, as well as what role do you see women playing within the music industry?
Yeah, so that expo again was organized by Mpasa, that organization that I spoke of earlier, and they're amazing. So they do a lot of upskilling within Johannesburg specifically. And on this day, I was invited to talk about music production and what technical skills you need. I was just talking through like start to finish recording process, mixing, mastering, release, and what that meant, and how women can utilize the tools that they already have instead of feeling that they need to rely on somebody or an organization or a group of older men that they don't necessarily trust, but they feel like they have to be a part of that world because they don't necessarily have those skills. And the main conclusion that we came to is that there's power in numbers. So you don't need to be like me, do sound engineering and songwriting and music production and buy all of your equipment and work at a record label. Rather go and be like, I'm a really good songwriter. My friend is a really good producer. My other friend has a computer. Hey, maybe let's all work together and chip in for some sound gear and have a squad together. Because I've seen from male music producers, the ones who do team up do end up being the most successful out of all of them. And then the rest of the workshop, there were a lot of other inspiring females in the music industry talking about brand deals and record labels and performance and a lot of aspects within the music industry. So I was just a small part about talking about music production specifically.
Oh, okay, okay. Because I was going to ask, what is a creative session for those who might not know?
So creative sessions can depend on what you're there for. So
Okay.
in this case, it was female music creators. So I basically just went through my creative processes of writing a song, and there was on a big screen behind me. People were sitting in the auditorium and they could ask questions as we went along. So I opened up my music software. I use Ableton, and then I showed them how to produce a basic beat, how to get a synthesizer within the music software, how to record a healthy vocal line, how to put it all together, just some basic mixing tips, how your song quality should be before you send it to a mix engineer, the differences between a songwriter, music producer, mix engineer, and master engineer, stuff like that. But yeah, we went through step by step, and that was the creative session for the music production session. And then for the other speakers, like the brand deals, she actually went through a brand deal that she did for a major ad agency. So it was really beneficial for the students attending.
Coming up, we're going to play your latest release. I would like for you to introduce this particular song, and thereafter, we're going to dive into your pursuit to being a singer, a musician now, from behind the scenes going into the front line, which for some people, it's quite a new experience, especially, and you end up getting to learn some things that you might have not been aware of when you were behind the scenes. So coming up, we're going to be playing Imaginary Things. Tell us a little bit about that particular song, and then we'll go into straight to play that particular song.
Yeah, so Imaginary Things, I feel, is the first track that is commercially viable for me, out of my own opinion. It's the first track that I felt I can really put like a lot of marketing behind, and I could work with some really big producers. So last year, October, I quit Universal Music. And although I was really sad, I was really excited because I finally had the time to produce. But unfortunately, I got really sick really quick afterwards. And I was so frustrated. I just wanted to make music, but I didn't feel really good. So doing this track was special to me because I was like, I don't feel like giving this a lot of energy. So let me keep this as simple as possible. And it was the first song that I felt I could produce start to finish that was super commercially viable and great sounding. And it was funny because I didn't try hard. And it was like all of the knowledge from the past 5 years just came through and just made me really calm. So I put down 5 basic tracks. I recorded a basic vocal line. And then I knew that like it was really catchy. And I sent it to my friend Jazz Sitole, who's an incredible music producer and mix engineer. And I was like, yo, I think the song really has potential. Can you just help me finish this track? And he put his magic touches on it, but he really kept me involved in the music production process because he's known me from my Universal days and he knows how important it is for me to have female music production credits in a song. So yeah, it really just came out well. And I posted it on social media and I'm distributing it through TuneCore, and I've gotten a really good reaction from it. So good that we did a really amazing photo shoot with my other friend. So it's been a self-funded project, but with, I would say, universal music knowledge behind it.
Back up your things.
That was Kat Newood with Imaginary Things, who is our guest for this morning. What an absolute vibe of a song. It's get up in the morning and do something with your life. Still tuned into Voices of the Art. I'm your host for this morning, Andile Dube Matube _Moyas on all social media platforms. You're currently broadcasting live on Facebook as well as YouTube. So please show us some love. Don't forget to comment and subscribe. Also, click on the notification bell to get a notification each and every single time we go live. And don't shy away. Do send us some love on our comment section. Any questions that you might have for our guest this morning, especially as she is someone who has experience working with a major publishing company, Universal Music Publishing Group, for 5 years. So it's your time now to ask whatever you need to ask, especially as someone trying to pursue a songwriting producing a career. Very valuable guest we have this morning. Once again, good morning, Kat.
Good morning.
You spoke about having that particular song. You were assisted by Stole, right? Yes,
Yes, jazz.
Jazz is Stole. How does it feel, especially as someone who understands or produces for other individuals, to just let go of your tools and give it to someone else? I can only imagine some of the things that you probably be like, no, just do this, do that. Isn't there a conflict of interest? Or do you find someone who understands your sound, who understands your personality, and everything just gels very well?
So I think because I am a music producer, I get along with music producers. Like we speak the same language. And there are some people that I've seen through the years that I particularly wanted to work with and I particularly clicked with because creating music is a sensitive thing. You have to be in a fragile space and you have to be comfortable with making mistakes or telling someone, you know what, I really actually don't like it that much. And you must be able to trust that they're not going to get offended. But I want to say that most of the really talented producers are amazing to work with because they're so professional. And then also in terms of the fact that I know what my rights are, it's not difficult for me to let go of a part of a song because even if I write a song where somebody else sings on it, I'll still be entitled to a percentage of that track because I was there in the creation process. I also don't believe that music is meant to be made alone. It's much harder, it's much more difficult. And I don't think that you should be too precious about your art because you should be able to crank out good music on the regular. If you're not able to do that and you're too precious about your tracks, then you need to level up, you need to practice.
As someone who understands both worlds, right, behind the scenes as well as in front of the camera, how does it differ from each other? So, how does being behind the scene, going into the spotlight, differ for you? And have you been finding it challenging being in front of the camera compared to being behind the scenes?
I think the behind the scene experience really prepared me to be in front of the
Ah.
scenes, because when I was behind the scenes, you could really see what the artists were struggling with, because we knew them on a personal basis. We didn't just know Lady Zimbarf or this amazing artist. We saw how she created her music, we saw her personality, we saw what she went through. And a lot of artists came to us and had chats in the office, and that really prepared me mentally for what it was going to be like once I stepped outside of doing the admin. But I would say the biggest difference is just your confidence. So behind the scenes, you can shy away sometimes and just bury yourself and work in Excel spreadsheets. And as long as you do really good work, you're fine. But behind the scenes, you have to be presentable all the time, and you have to look good, and you have to sound good. You have to make sure you're not sick. Otherwise, you can't sing. So I would actually say, like, the pressures of stepping outside of the admin space has been a lot more, but I enjoy it more. I really do enjoy performing and creating music and just being out there.
So now that you're a musician yourself, and throughout the years, I'm sure that you've written some of your best for other musicians. Is there a song where you, now that you think of it, I should have kept for myself? I wish that I didn't give it to someone else. I could have done better, maybe.
Honestly, no, I wouldn't say so, just because I think there is a misconception about how songs are written. I think lots of people think that one song is written by one person, when in fact, there's usually like 3 to 5 to 10 people involved. So yeah, in the States and developed places, there's even more people involved. Maybe I felt like part of a song I could have kept, but if you're smart enough and you know how music copyright works, you can basically take what you did for somebody else and take the elements that you really like, just change it enough so that it's a different idea, but keep the stuff that you really like. No, I wouldn't say that I have a song that somebody else has that I wish I kept for myself.
Why do you think writing a song, or a song rather, needs so many individuals involved?
Because producing music is difficult. It's a really difficult skill to master. And just because you're really good at, let's say, drum patterns doesn't mean that you're really good at vocal harmonies. Like, I know what I'm good at. So if I go into the studio, I'm good at vocal harmonies, I'm good at the vocal melodies, and I can tell you about the mixing of the track and maybe some sound design things. But I know for a fact that I'm not good at composition, for example. So then we'll have somebody who is really good at composition, and then you'll have another person who's really good at lyrics, and then you have another person who's really good at just making the whole song gel together and swell. And most of the times, those guys are the DJs because they know how to move a crowd. So I think a big problem in South Africa is that people don't collaborate enough on a song. And that's why sometimes we feel like our standards isn't on that international level, because all of the major international tracks have many songwriters on
Mm-hmm.
them, and it gets reviewed and updated till it's just right. And then you can go and take this product and then you put a massive marketing budget behind it. So you actually need a big team in order to create a really good product.
Do you think the reason why so many people don't want to collaborate is because the more people that are on a song, the less is left for all individuals involved, especially the artist? I can only imagine what the musician is left with when you have to consider everything that happens in the background to have a song ready, from your management to your label to the songwriter, the producer, the person mastering, so on and so forth. So, do you find that the artist is at a disadvantage when it comes to that?
So that depends. That depends how smart you are about it. So I recommend everybody to just go and understand the type of legal contracts that they're getting themselves into. Because if you're an artist, you still have a lot of power in that song. So just because you're an artist doesn't mean that you can't be part of the songwriting process. Yes, if the more people on a song, the less of the songwriter or royalty you're gonna get. But as an artist, you have your different royalties, like your master rights royalties, you get all of your live performances as income, you get all of your brand deals income, there are sync deals. So there's many different avenues of income. And that's why I need people to understand what their role is in the music industry and how to best monetize that role. And then not signing an agreement just because they see flashing lights. Oh, this is a major record label. Really go and understand what it means if they're going to take 50% of your royalties, because a record label also needs to pay their employees. That needs to happen somehow. So it's a fine balance between having a team that's big enough to make the product good and having a team that's not too big so that the royalties don't get too diluted.
I'm not sure if you've seen on social media, many of our legends within the industry seem to pass on, for lack of better words, with absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. We see them all the time, especially when it comes to tragic world events such as COVID, so on and so forth, that once you close down the industry, people are left with peanuts. So, do you think that the industry tends to take advantage of those who work within?
So, this is a loaded question because there are many different answers. The main issue is that we are not selling CDs anymore. In the days of the CDs, you could create a really good product and then people would pay minimum, what maybe in today's standards, 100 Rand. Now on Spotify, each stream is 0.001 cents. So the difference between 100 Rand and 0.001 cents is a lot. But artists know that they can't rely on streaming royalties anymore. In the time of COVID, why it was so difficult is because live performances is really where a big portion of artists' income come to. So you can get anywhere between 10,000 Rand to 50,000 Rand for a gig if you're a medium artist, which is a lot. Like if you do 4 shows a month, you can live from that. So in COVID, obviously, when live went away, I think a lot of people's bread and butter went away. But I would implore people to go and explore different avenues. For example, if you have a big brand on social media, you can monetize ad revenue on YouTube and you can get a lot of money for that. There's a TikTok creator fund. You can do affiliate marketing. You can do brand deals and sync deals. So, yes, it's much more difficult for musicians to live from music itself. But in the day of the internet, there really are other avenues that you can explore and you can get that money just from a different place. It really is just about adapting to the changes. But I don't agree with Spotify's royalty structure. Record labels, I think that people think they take advantage of artists, but a record label is a business. So if you're not willing to work with a record label like a business, you have to do independent distribution and you have to be an independent label. And for me, from my side, that's also really expensive, doing things out of your own pocket. So you just have to decide how you're gonna make this business plan work. Just plan it out and be smart about it.
You mentioned the TikTok Creative Fund. From my knowledge, in South Africa, we don't really make a lot of money in terms of that particular fund. So, how does it work for South African creatives, if you have any insight?
My insight to TikTok income is more geared to the music side of it. So I wouldn't be able to speak for just the normal creator fund, but I know, for example, if your song is on TikTok, and you can get it on TikTok really easily through any online distributor like TuneCore, and your song goes a little bit viral or people are using it for a lot of videos, then you get royalties for that. So it's Spotify or radio. Like every time your song is played on TikTok, you'll get a royalty for that. And then on top of that, if your page grows and people are using your song for, let's say, a brand deal, then you can get quite a bit of money for that if your song is attached to a brand deal. As far as I know, with the Creator Fund, it's for TikTok to increase their watch time on their videos. So the more watch time people have on your videos, the more TikTok is going to give you a little bit of money for that. So I know that in South Africa, it's not as valuable as in developed markets, but we also need to understand that we are competing with millions of people. So maybe your song or your video has 1 million views and you think, wow, this is amazing. But then you go and check, then in the US, it's 100 million. So obviously, they're just going to have a bit more income.
As someone who is so knowledgeable, do you have do you host seminars or have a one-on-one consult? Because I know that this is not enough time for someone who really does appreciate the knowledge that you have and wants to know more without having to spend 3 or 4 years of studying or having to have the opportunity that most of us don't have to work for a record label.
Yes, so I do get invited to workshops that I give. The next is a sync workshop, but the dates aren't finalized yet. So I do post on my Instagram and TikTok where I'm going to be speaking. However, I am concentrating this year on my own music releases, stepping a little bit away from doing workshops and the business side of things. But I have been getting a lot of questions and inquiries, and there's not a place that you can go to where you can get this information. So for now, I would really just recommend becoming a member of MPASA, MPASA. That's your best bet for getting the sort of information that I'm talking about now, but on a more professional level. I think you pay like a little bit of a subscription fee, but it's not much, and you get a lot of value out of it, like so much.
Thank you so much for that. Before we wrap up our interview for this morning, I would like to know, in a producer's eyes, there's some tips that you could give a singer in terms of working with the producers, as pitching, some of the things that they need to be more aware of when recording a song.
Yeah, so what I've noticed, what music producers like about recording with me and dislike about recording with other people, it's not about even the skill. It's about me pitching up, I'm warmed up, I have lyrics ready, I'm knowledgeable about the music production process. So it goes quick. It's not like I'm sitting there a little bit bored because I don't know what's going on. And obviously, music production, if you've ever seen somebody produce a song, like it is tedious, like picking out a kick drum can take 20 minutes. So you really just need to be prepared and you need to be patient. And when it's your time to shine, don't think that there's going to be a next time to record. It's happened to me so many times where I'm like, let's just organize another time to get together. I want to re-record my vocals. And then that time never comes because people are really busy. So pitch up to the session ready. Be warmed up. Have your lyrics. Think about the type of genre that you want to make. Have inspiration tracks ready. So any question that the producer asks you, you're ready.
Yeah, what do you think of studios? I'm sure you've seen them before, where there are many ladies in the studio session, gentlemen having a party, doing the most in the background. How does that affect the production of a song? Because I can only imagine what the musician and the producer goes through in that type of environment.
Yeah, so the only type of environment that sort of setup would happen is at a songwriting camp, from what I've experienced. So, songwriting camps really are there to make different people connect with each other. And you set up home studios in different rooms, and people can come and check and chill out. So, the only time when it's really supposed to be quiet is when people are recording their vocals, and people are respectful of that because obviously they know that you need to be quiet to get the best take. But then on the other side, producing the music really can feed off of that energy in the room. And most of the time, if the producer's, yo, there's too many people in this room, guys, I need some space, people are really respectful of that because they know that it's an honor to be in the studio. But aside from songwriting camps, studio setups are really usually quiet. And people think like these music producers are these super mega stars. Most of the time, we're just nerds. Like we're just nerds in front of the computer, like chilling out in our bedroom and like hanging out with our friends. And like when all of these videos are being taken of like people in the studio, that's when the song's already finished. Just go check out the song, party with us, tell us what you think.
Ah, okay. Because I was thinking, how does this work? But I guess it does. We've got some of the best hits with that type of environment. I guess it does feed. The energy is needed. That type of energy is needed in the room for some songs. So we've noticed that your song, Both Sides, is a song that many really enjoy, especially on our end. Why do you think that might be the case where it's a song out of some of the songs that you've released that most really find themselves enjoying and resonating with?
I think it's because I have a music video attached to it, and people can see that I really enjoy the song. And secondly, I also produced the entire track. So I had help with the mixing, but that was also just one of my early creations that were just me. And during that time, I made a lot of songs, and Both Sides was really the only track that I felt other people are going to enjoy. And now that you say that they are enjoying it, I'm really happy. And I think it's because the words are really beautiful. It's poetic. It's speaking about the polarity of life and both sides and like the balance. And that's something that a lot of people really relate with. So I don't know. What do you think? Why do you think people enjoy it?
I think people enjoy it because, like you mentioned, the energy of the song. Maybe we also seem to enjoy songs that you are more involved in. So that's also
Seems
testament
like.
to that's also a testament to your talent. Maybe more songs that you are mostly involved in are the songs that are really gonna push your career. But I enjoy the sound. It seems like it's a song that was put together very well, and the music video is absolutely beautiful. I found myself in the background jiving a little bit. I love, absolutely love that song. Any last words that you might have? Anything that we didn't touch on this morning that you think it's very important for you to touch on?
Yeah, I guess I can just speak about my next release. I am even the most excited about this one because I produced it with Batundi, who's like a multi-award winning producer, and it's coming out on the 5th of June. And I really would love it if people could subscribe to my channel and enjoy the song with me because I really think it's the best one yet. And yeah, if you have any questions, I'm super responsive on my social media. So please follow me, DM me, and ask me any question you want. It's all good for me.
And where do we follow you?
So I am on Instagram, I am on TikTok, I'm on Facebook, and I'm on YouTube. And my username for most of them are Kat, K-A-T, Newood, and then sometimes there's music afterwards.
Thank you so much, Kat Newood, for this morning's conversation. Very valuable tools that I think you, as the creative who wants to find yourself as a songwriter, a producer, sound engineer, even a musician. She spoke about the importance of knowing your rights. She spoke about the importance of understanding your contract and the importance to knowing what resources are valuable and are available to you in South Africa and how you can monetize your music, which I think is one of the most important things. How you can monetize your talent, how you can monetize your songwriting, how you can monetize your producing skills. Because at the end of the day, as much as these are passions for us, but let your passion feed you, which I think is one of the most important things. And I think that is exactly why Voices of the Art is an important platform. It's because we are speaking about some of the most important things and valuable information that each individual who is in the industry has experienced, which will help you as someone who might want to pursue or is in pursuit of that particular career to maybe shift a little bit, to change a little bit of things, to educate yourself better, so on and so forth. So these are some of the things that you definitely need to understand better. Thank you so much to Scent. I see you once again. Good morning, VM Network team. Great music, Kate. Kat, rather. Thank you so much for that. Becoming a regular, which I definitely appreciate that. We also want you to also become a regular. Please follow us on our various social media platforms. It's a voice on the move network across the board. We want to see you here. But for now, here is Kat Newood with Both Sides.